I call the Washington County Board of Education meeting to order. I'd like to first of all ask Mr. Water to lead us in prayer, and please continue to stand as Ms. Dixon leads us in the pledge, please.
Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for today. We thank you for the rain that you've been giving us and the pauses in it so we can get out and do the things we need to. God, you know best. Help us to look to you as Father knows best. And God, help us in the decisions that we will be making tonight. Help us to be help us to observe and listen closely. We ask for your knowledge and wisdom to be applied to every decision we make. In Christ's name, amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. All right, first on our agenda looks like is our recognition of our tenured personnel. I think Mr. Boyd has a little certificate for each and every one of you, so as he calls your name, just come up, please.
Tight quarters in here, but certainly we want to take the time to recognize our teachers that have been approved by the Board of Education to attain tenure in our school system, and we thank them for this period of time. It takes, typically in a Tennessee school system, it's a process of 5 years, and then you're recommended through outcomes and by the school administration to the Board of Education. They take actions to grant tenure to the individuals that are eligible and that have been recommended. So just like tonight, we started our evening at 4:30 or afternoon with just a reception for our teachers and their families that may have come with them, and ask them to come up. In the beginning, we just want to once again recognize them in this public meeting. Call their name. I'll call your name out as I shared with you. Ask you to come up and get your certificate. And if you'll stay around until everybody's name is called, I promise you'll have a chance at a brief moment to exit out, unless you want to stay, and you can leave. But please stay while we recognize everyone. I'll hand your certificate. You can go back. I wish we had enough room. We'd keep everybody up front, but we just don't. So I'll hand your certificate to you, and we'll move through recognizing everyone. So I'm going to call all names out. Not everyone could attend tonight, but just for public record, I want to make sure that I call the names out of our teachers that have been granted tenure by the Washington County Board of Education this year. Ann Trask. Cassandra Summey. Ginger Strong. Amy Shipley. Catherine Painter. Lynn Music. Jessica McAllister. Amy Lawson. Lauren Ladd. Hannah Kartosh.
Here she is.
Here she is.
She was out in the hall. Thank you. Katie Hancock. Sarah Hackney. Ethan Good. Here earlier. Got you out in the hallway.
Sir.
Thank you. Angela Garth. Katie Deacons. Emily Darnell. Aaron Christian.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Carver. Ashton Meredith. Sarah Asbury. Kelly Arnold. Jamie Arnold. Tanya Armstrong. Leanne Reed. Teresa Lewis. And Lillian Travis. Again, we thank all of you, we congratulate you all, we look forward to you having a long career in Washington County. We hope the profession of teaching is certainly has never been easy, and nowadays it's extremely difficult, and you all should be commended, for getting to this point in your career. And again, we hope that you have a long career in impacting the lives of students and also the future of our community. Thank you very much. Stay for the board meeting, or you sit down? So, thanks, gave our teachers that were leaving time to clear out. We also, in addition to highlighting our teachers, our staff, all of our employees, when we have the opportunity, we always want to highlight our students at our board meetings. And tonight we're going to hear from Ridgeview. So I want to ask Ms. Lyons, Leslie Lyons, Principal of Ridgeview, to kind of get us started with the presentation from Ridgeview.
Good evening. We have a special presentation ready for you guys today. When I pitched this out to our teacher leaders and our group at Ridgeview, the related arts teacher said, we might just have a little project up our sleeves that the board would enjoy. And so in presenting that, we said, well, let's talk to our teacher leader, or our student leaders, and see how they would like to share their thoughts about our school. So tonight we have a few student council members who would like to share what they believe are the most important things about Ridgeview, and then they have a video to share with you that has been created by the students as well. Come on, let's go. They're all breathing a sigh of relief, not as many people.
My name is Sophie Ashby, and I'm an 8th grader at Ridgeview. When I grow up, I want to be an orthopedic doctor, and Ridgeview will help me get there by challenging me academically and preparing me for high school.
My name is Ryan Birdwell, and I'm a 5th grader at Ridgeview. And when I grow up, I want to become a mechanical engineer, and Ridgeview is helping me get there by challenging me in math and science.
My name is Connor Davis. I'm an 8th grade student at Ridgeview Elementary, and my goal when I grow up is to become a teacher. And after seeing all the wonderful teachers that I've had at Ridgeview, they've really inspired me to fulfill that goal.
And a phenomenal speller as well, right?
Yes, thank you.
Hello, I am Vic Puffin. I am a 7th grade student at Ridgeview, and I want to be a veterinarian when I grow up, and I feel like Ridgeview can help with that by building a sense of community so I can socialize with my patients.
Hi, I'm Mason Marbury. When I grow up, I want to be in business management. Ridgeview has helped me with that goal by having great teachers and excellent extracurricular activities.
Awesome. Very good.
Legacy is a word that means leaving an impact on a community. Our legacy kind of acts like a mutualistic relationship with our students and our staff. Our staff helps the students by giving them the academic knowledge they need to help them succeed in life, and they also build a sense of community to help them. And our students help the staff by giving them a sense of community, and so they can help grow mentally.
The core of Ridgeview can be explained in simple 3 words: respect, responsibility, and cooperation. In terms of respect, at Ridgeview, students are both taught and expected to be nothing but respectful to anyone at their school, including teachers, staff, visitors, and other students. Any form of disrespect simply isn't tolerated at Ridgeview. Obviously, respectfulness is a very necessary and desirable quality to have, and it is one that students can carry with them for the rest of their lives. Responsibility-wise, Ridgeview students are held to a very high standard. They're expected to keep up with their assignments, study thoroughly, take solid notes, keep up with their belongings, etc. And by being held to these responsibilities, these students learn skills that will help them to be responsible children in the present and responsible adults in the future. And cooperation is another key to success at Ridgeview. Students get lots of opportunities to collaborate with one another in group-based activities, and they're expected to be open to others' ideas and opinions, and also put in as much effort as possible no matter what. By participating in activities like these, the students learn cooperation skills that will be of great benefit to them throughout their entire lives.
In addition to our brand, this year we have focused on academic excellence, acceptance and kindness, and community leadership. Academic excellence at Ridgeview is very important. Teachers partner with their students so that they can perform at their very best. Acceptance and kindness. Students and teachers are expected to put a lot of effort into being really kind and accepting others. An example of this is we are all reading Wonder, and this shows us to be kind no matter what. Community of leaders. Leadership is also taught at Ridgeview in many ways. Examples: relationship with your teachers, sports, friendships, clubs, and classroom skills.
So not to get you off track, you're all reading Wonder, so help everyone understand what that looks like at Ridgeview.
So it's called One School, One Book, and we're all reading Wonder, and it talks about a kid's life who has a disability and how he struggles through school but eventually finds friends, and it just shows us that we need to be kind no matter what to anyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
At Ridgeview, we are a community, whether it's with our students or with our teachers. We also give back to our local community through student council. This video is about our community and how it is special. This video was made by our middle school students and commentated by our elementary students. I hope you'll enjoy the video. At Ridgeview, the future is an important thing to the staff and the students. Learning. At Ridgeview, we try to help our students learn something new every day. We try to make learning fun by making it interactive. This helps the students prepare for their future learning in high school, college, and beyond. Creativity. We encourage creativity in students by having related arts classes like music and art, and extracurricular activities such as band and chorus. In other classes, we do creative things such as projects and slideshows to go along with what we are learning. We want our students in the future to be creative thinkers who can solve world problems. Success. We help all students try to reach their full potential. We celebrate student successes with rewards and certificates. This helps prepare them for the future by encouraging them to continue to try to achieve high standards.
Well, guys, that officially concludes our presentation. Thank you all so much for your attention.
Wonderful job. Thank you. Okay. Set the bar high, Ridgeview. That's great. In addition to hearing from our students from Ridgeview, we also want to take the opportunity to recognize this year's SCOPE delegates for Washington County Schools. And SCOPE stands for Student Congress on Policies in Education. The students will go to Nashville and debate on issues around education with other students across Tennessee, and have the experience of being a part of, or at least preparing to be a part of an authentic board meeting. So, great opportunity for students. So our student from Daniel Boone High School is Allie Johnson. I don't think our other student from Daniel Boone is here, Austin Reed. I think he wasn't able to make it. Sophia Greer from David Crockett High School. And Reagan Shockley from David Crockett High School. Thank you. And our two chaperones that will be taking our students to Nashville, Mr. and Mrs. Gray in the back. Appreciate them stepping up and helping. Of course, Mrs. Gray is assistant principal at Daniel Boone, and Dr. Gray is currently serving as a curriculum specialist at the district level for Washington County Schools. So thank you both. And have a couple more opportunities to recognize folks. Asked Ms. Crystal Fink, our CT director, to be here. She'll come up. So recently, Ms. Fink was recognized at a state event as the statewide career and technical education director, and recognized with the Pioneer Award, and that just means she was recognized for outstanding work at her school system in the region, across the state and nation, and others were being a part of the consideration. There were other candidates, but Crystal Fink was selected as the Tennessee recipient of the statewide Pioneer Award for career and technical education in the state of Tennessee. So congratulations.
Glad to have our parents here join us tonight too, back here.
Exactly. Okay. So you have family here. Do you want to?
I do. Well, my husband, 30 years, and my parents are both here.
You're going to say how long they've been your parents?
They've been my parents for 50 years. And my mother went to school here.
Oh wow, this building? Oh wow.
First grade, she went to school here, so
Wow.
very special for them to be here.
Yeah. We also have a group to recognize. This month is designated, it has a lot of designations, but one designation to highlight the work that athletic trainers do across the nation in youth sports, high school sports, and even beyond. And I don't believe we have 2 athletic trainers that serve our 2 high schools, and I don't believe Mr. Morehouse is here. I don't think he is, but Mr. Brian Grant that serves David Crockett, I believe, was here. There he is. Didn't see him. Thank you, sir. We appreciate all the support you provide to our student athletes and to the coaches and to the families. Having an opportunity to participate in athletics, is just one avenue for our students, but having that support, injuries do happen, and having a qualified person that's there and to assist the student athletes and their parents through those injuries is certainly much appreciated on behalf of the school system as well as the parents and the student athletes. So thank you very much for your service. Oh, we got a video. All right. Thank you for being able to make it here tonight, Mr. Grant. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for your work.
So, Brian has worked with all 3 of my children, and as a parent, I'm just grateful that there's somebody there who cares about my kids and can help them through their injury to get back on the right track. So I appreciate Brian.
Thank you.
All right. So we're gonna move, we got one more
I got
item.
one more item on the presentation.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Browning?
Okay.
Mr. Browning is from the town of Jonesboro, involved in the project and construction of the new Jonesboro Elementary School. The board has asked him to provide us with an update of the project.
I will attempt to do that, and if you don't mind, I'm old school. I don't have the presentation on the video, but if you don't mind passing these down, this is what I've tried to do is be brief, but also give you something that you can take a look at, I guess. And I'll talk a little bit about this stuff that's going around. This is sort of a breakdown of where we are with the building itself. This is information related to the grounds and the athletic facilities and where we stand in terms of the planning, and this is related to playground development, and I'll talk a little bit about that if you don't mind. But I am the has-been town administrator of Jonesboro, and the board of mayor and alderman has supposedly employed me part-time to be project manager on the school, and I'm very excited about being involved in the project. When people talk about how wonderful this community is, as we've heard, the students are really what makes this community wonderful, and we have, the town of Jonesboro, I think, has worked very hard to be a good partner with you all to provide a great facility for the kids that are served by the Jonesboro School. The school building itself is actually going along. I don't know when the last time you've been in the building, but it's really going along very well. It is on schedule, and we have to remind people that the contract with Burwell Construction is through November of 2023, and the progress that's going on right now in some areas that we're ahead of schedule. In other areas, it's dragging a little bit, but really not much. And so, we expect that the contractor will be able to put you all in the building probably in October in order to I mean, that's certainly the goal at this point in time. That's the way the schedule is. It may even be a little earlier than that, but I don't think Burwell would appreciate me saying they're going to be early. But it is going along very well. Burwell has focused on the classroom construction, just because that ends up that in the kitchen becomes one of the most complicated parts of the construction process, and they want to make sure that progress goes along in such a way that you can get into the classrooms, which are the most important thing in terms of getting ready for students. That you can do that as soon as possible. So, in most of the classrooms, if you remember, we got a U-shaped building, and the classrooms are on both of the wings in that, and on two levels. And for the most part, I mean, all of the framing is done in both of those wings. All of the framing done pretty much in the whole school. There's a little bit left in the kitchen area that needs to be done, but and for the most part, in all the classrooms, the sheetrock is up. All of the electrical and plumbing is in place, and a lot of the electrical, all the conduits in place, but a lot of the wiring has already been pulled. The conduit is in place for all of the technology, and the HVAC units are all on top of the roof. They've all been connected. And if you remember, the way that the HVAC units are designed for the school is that the only equipment is on the roof, and they're located on the roof where we've minimized the amount of ductwork so that they're going directly down into the classroom below, or they're going through a chase down into the classroom below that. So, that was a really cost-effective way of doing it. The other major advantage to that is that every room every teacher has control over the temperature in their room. And so from a security standpoint, that was one of the things that we heard about teachers propping doors open and stuff like that because one was hot and you serve more than one room with your HVAC units, and one would prop a door open because they were hot and the other one would be freezing. So, at this point in time, they're moving along on that. We had a meeting with Power Board this afternoon to talk to them a bit. I guess they're really cooperative, but we felt like they needed a little boost of energy in working with us because the HVAC, the duct work is almost all done in the classroom areas, and we're getting cabinetry from Preston that they're trying to deliver. That stuff can be installed as soon as the walls are ready for it, and it needs to be conditioned. And so Burwell is looking to try to condition the building as quickly as possible in order for the painting and sheetrock finishing and other things like that to be in the proper conditioned air, for not to have any problem with it. So we got a good response out of the Power Board this afternoon, and we're working on kind of an interim approach, but we hope to put Burwell in a position by the end of this month that they can start conditioning the classrooms. And the other advantage to that in the long run is that as classrooms get finished and they're conditioned, then you all have the opportunity when the contractor gives you the authority to move into it to be working in individual classrooms in terms of putting furniture in and other things like that. So that whole thing is going along pretty well. We're the electrician and plumber in the kitchen area, and that's fairly complicated, but we went through that earlier this week, and all of the framing is pretty much in place in the kitchen and the cafeteria. And if you haven't been in the building lately, it's hard not to get excited about it. At least for me, it isn't. We're really working hard to provide something that you and the kids and the teachers would be proud of, and so I think we're headed in a pretty good position. And Jared Adams has been attending the progress meetings, and sometimes Curtis Fulbright. They've done a great job of communicating and participating with us. All of your staff that we have worked with, we've been very impressed with. You've got a great staff, and we have worked really hard to listen and to make sure that that we're meeting their needs. So as far as if you've been by the school, you see that the brickwork is going along very well. We did get some help from one of your teachers on that, who happens to be the daughter of Vice President of General Shell. And I happened to run into her at a meeting and was talking about our frustration because the brick was not supposed to get here until November, and she said, well, let me talk to you about that. And so she was very nice and communicated with Dad, and all of a sudden we got brick in September. So like I said, you have some good staff. I was trying to think anything else about the building that you might need to know about. The gas company is metered in. SB White is the mechanical engineer. They're running, all the units, HVAC units are gas. All the piping is outside of the school building, but going across the roof. They're working on that now. And again, that's another thing that has to take place, but they're working on getting all of the piping hooked up to the units so that when we can power them up, that they're ready to be operable. I do want to talk, does anybody have any question about the building itself and where we are on that? Because I want to talk a little bit, if it's okay with you, about the grounds.
I just want to make a comment. Bob, we're scheduled to go March 30th at 2:30 for a tour.
Okay.
For whole boards.
All right, well, good. I'll tell them to speed up for you. So.
We want to see a lot more from you.
So,
Can I ask you a question about the playgrounds?
Sure.
I'm looking at the pictures here, and it looks like the first 5 or so are just the same playground from different angles.
That's correct. Can I talk to you just a little bit about that, and it'll
Please.
make a lot more sense if
Please.
you don't mind. We have, in the overall site plan that you see on the front of the document, on the
The big
11 by 17, you'll see that there's actually 4 playground areas in the school plan. There's a preschool program playground that's right outside of the 2 preschool classes. There's a CDC playground that is at the end of the courtyard area that is right outside of, at least there's 4 CDC classrooms in that wing in the first floor of that wing, and so 2 of them are directly connected to the playground. The other, the CDC playground, the other has a direct connection through a hallway into that playground. On the other side of the building, the other wing, the wing that's towards the east, there's what we call a K through 5 playground area, and then there's a fairly good sized social area for the kids that are 6th through 8th grade, where we have tetherball and there's a basketball court out there. There's an area for socialization, a good place to sit and that kind of thing. There's a design plan that's in that packet of 11 by 17s that shows you sort of what the courtyard and the playground on the east side would look like. That's been designed by Equinox Environmental out of Asheville. And if you let me talk a little bit about the courtyard. The courtyard is obviously inside the U, and that's a pretty large area. It's 100 feet across, and maybe almost a football field in length. And so we have approached that courtyard with the idea that it needs to be an extension of the instructional area. And so, other than the CDC playground itself, which would have an outside entrance, the courtyard is not it's an area that the town, through our agreement with the school board and with the county, will be maintaining, but it's not an area that we are proposing in any way to be open to the public. And we've talked to both Jerry and Jared about that kind of issue. We feel like that's an area that is just, it's too close to the building, and we just don't feel like that's an appropriate thing to do. The CDC playground, any of those playgrounds that involves the town's participation and funding, because right now, from the very beginning, there's been no funding for the playground. And that was not in the original budget. We have submitted an application to the state that we always feel positive about the stuff that we try to do, but that would, with your support, we were told that you all agreed to $300,000 to be used for match on the provision that the project gets funded. So that provides that provides an additional $300,000 that we put into the playgrounds. We have funding in place to support that. So the additional portion of that. So we have all 4 playgrounds in the grant application, and what I've given you in that 8.5 by 11 is examples of what we have designed into those playground areas at this point. That 3 of those playgrounds initially went through the design committee that was originally formatted that Mary Beth is on, and so we if that gets funded, then we intend to immediately start work on. We have to bid that out, but we will end up. Our intent is to put all 4 of those in place. We may have some additional money that we could add some features to it. It doesn't exactly, from a grant standpoint, have to look like that. But we've had a staff person, Rachel Conger, that's put a lot of investment into talking to both principals and teachers about what they want to see in a playground and what makes sense for kids in a K through 8 situation. And so there's been a lot of homework that's been done on that, but again, if there's people who have differences of opinion and you want us to look at something different, we're certainly welcome to do that. We should know within 30 days whether we are going to be considered for funding or not. So we're operating on the basis that we're going to be successful, so we plan on going ahead and moving forward. We've been authorized to go ahead and bid it out. We can't go under contract if we are awarded a grant. We can't go under contract with any individual vendor until we get a contract with the state. But we can bid it out. We can get a lot of the homework done out of the way so that if we are funded and we are under contract, that we can immediately issue a notice to proceed, because our intention is for all this work to be done by the time the school opens. And we'll see what happens. We know the ball fields will, that's already in the existing contract. We have a contract for fencing that's already in place and been awarded for the fencing of the baseball field and the softball field. Summer and Taylor, we worked with them instead of them just doing rough grading. It made more sense. We had so much topsoil, they had to either do something with it or move it off site. We worked with them just to go ahead and spread the topsoil on the fields where it was needed anyway, and then do one sowing, and that be the permanent sowing. So the unfortunate part about where we are outside is we were actually hoping to sow ball fields down in October, and with it's rained every other day since November. So the good thing is it hasn't impacted the school at all, but the school building. But we haven't. There's not much work that's been done out there. The ball fields are pretty much. They're certainly rough graded. They were putting topsoil on the ball fields when all this rain started, but. So given a week or so and some decent weather, they'll be back in there, and they should finish those pretty quickly. We did add 2 tennis courts to the overall plan. If you look at that top sheet in the 11 by 17s, it doesn't exactly look like tennis courts. The way it's designed, the way it's shown on there, it's really it's shown as 4 pickleball courts, but it's really set up for 2 tennis courts. The town of Jonesboro doesn't have any tennis courts. We're building a pickleball court over behind the senior center, and we're almost finished with that. But it's an opportunity for the town and for the school. If you have kids that want to practice tennis after school or take lessons or something like that, the tennis court should be right there. And the grant is also lighting all 4 ball field areas. And if you look again on that top sheet, you see a large, what we call a multi-purpose field area. And I don't have, if you don't mind. Sir. This is a really large area up here. If you look at the football field, this is much bigger than the football field. This is kind of a critical area because it's basically field space that can be split up in a number of different ways. In the grant, we have some benches that would be used for teams and stuff that can be moved around depending upon how you mark off a field. But there's you can have a number of different small kid soccer games. If one of the things that your athletic directors mentioned is that how many of the schools are going to lacrosse and playing that and field hockey and stuff. So it can be split up any number of ways, for a lot of different kind of field sports. And so it's a great area for the town, and we feel like it's a great area for opportunities for the school.
Just don't let them turn it into a par 3 golf course.
We will. That hasn't ever been discussed, so and I won't mention it to anybody. So I was trying to think if there's anything else. We like I said, we intend to if things go well, we have to have some help from the state with this grant. But if we are successful with it, Our intention is to have everything in place. We would have to hustle, and there's a number of things that could slow the process down. There always is, but I just tell you what our intention is to have it ready when the kids come in.
Two questions. One, the playground one, the largest one there, I take it that's the K to 5?
Yes, sir.
Playground, okay. And second of all, the playground equipment that's shown here, this is just an example of
It
what
is.
they could be. We're not.
It's a well thought out example.
Yeah, it definitely
The
looks
way I
like
would
it.
explain
Right.
it. And it includes equipment that is designed more for K through 2, and then for higher grades for 3 through, really 3 through 6.
Bob, playgrounds 2 and 3, will they be fenced in because of the nature of them being CDC and?
The CDC fencing is fenced in, and the preschool will be fenced in. The preschool is more likely to be a more decorative type fence, just, you know, that is more in line with the kind of equipment that's in there and their little kids. We are, from a security standpoint, the outside fencing against that somebody would have to go over or through to get into the courtyard with the CDC. That's 6 foot. We went through and evaluated security again, and we all agreed that needed to be raised to 6 feet. The fencing that's on the K through 5 in the social area, that whole area is fenced, and that's a 6 foot fence. And then there's a 4 foot fence that would come through the center of it, that would separate out kind of the social area from that more active playground area. Inside the CDC playground, the fencing that goes around that would be 4 feet inside the courtyard, 6 feet across the outside, if that makes any sense. Access to the school from a security standpoint is a really big deal. As I mentioned, the technology is all in place. The vendors have been selected. We have all the technology under contract. We got some really good pricing. It's all Curtis Fulbright really worked well with us and the staff and your staff, and so we feel like that we have a really good program in technology. And from a security standpoint, the entire school, every area that is in the public walkway, I say public walkway, all the hallways, stairwells, there's been a great deal of effort to go through to make sure that every square foot of that is under camera in some way or another. We came back, and when we were looking at security one more time, especially after the things that happened in Texas, we had talked about doing some kind of using technology to determine whether doors were open or not. And one of the advantages of the 2-story is that we're only dealing with first-story floors. So we went back and looked at what it would actually take to be able to have within all the doors that open, that you can actually get back in. Some of the downstairs doors, you can go out from an emergency standpoint or from the classroom standpoint, but you can't get back in. And that's a security issue. So we have a swipe card system. They go around to one of the doors you can come back in, and they use that. But if a door is open and it's not, and it really ends up being the school itself that determines what that time period is. But if it's open for, say, 5 minutes and is not shut, then it's going to send an alarm to the SRO and to the administration that door is open. So and that's done across around the first floor of the school. So we feel like it's really important that, to the extent possible, that we can use that technology to secure the building as much as possible. So and there's a lot of things that have been done on security standpoint. One of the issues, and I don't know if we've talked before about stacking and car rider pickup and things like that. And if you remember, we go all the way down from the top of the school where that roundabout is. If you see on that front, we go all the way down past the athletic facilities and then come back in with double lane stacking, and then it comes into the car rider entrance, and which is really the visitor entrance to the school. And there's a little peninsula that goes out that's covered. We talked to both the principals about what they felt like staff-wise that they could handle in terms of the number of kids that they can deal putting in and out, especially putting in a car at the same time. And so that what happens is those cars come in double and they split and go on both sides of that peninsula.
Is it right here, Bob?
Yes, it is. So if you don't, well, if you don't mind me holding, you go right ahead. Correct. So I'm talking about this peninsula right here. So these, when they're coming in, and by the way, we are working right now on, we're working with Joe Wilson, who's got a project, he's got a housing project off the Boones Creek Road. We have an agreement with him. We're doing some paving so that we can take the public drive across him. So we're working with the Pritchett heirs, the people who own the Pritchett farm, to bring a drive in here and connect into this upper drive and provide another way in which people can get in and out of the school, which from a traffic flow standpoint would be a big help. But at this point, if you come in, or you come in from Tavern Hill or Skyline Drive, or come up North Cherokee, you go all the way down, and then you have two lanes that come back, and you split on this peninsula, so we have car pickup, or car, pickup is the main issue in the afternoon, and they can go both directions. They can come this way and then go back out, or this way they go into the traffic circle. So you can pick up on both sides of that. It's going to be single lane to keep people from driving around, where kids can get in the passenger side and not get run over. And one of the big deals about the traffic circle is to keep the SRO out from directing traffic after school to the extent possible. So before and after school, very often the SROs are out there directing traffic, and we're trying to keep them in the school building. So and we feel like that's a big deal. And that traffic circle, just keeps, the biggest issue is where you have an intersection and you have somebody stopping. And even the bus loop, if for some reason or other North Cherokee got backed up, and we're trying hard to keep that from happening, but the buses can come out of the bus loop and go right and then actually go in that traffic circle and go around and come back the other way. It takes a few more minutes, but they don't have to have the SRO out there letting them out.
Mr. Brown, the road you're talking about, would that connect to the Boones Creek Road, the Jonesboro Boones Creek Road that Mr. Wilson might let us have access to? Or?
We have an agreement with Joe Wilson we're working with him in partnership and to bring a drive into his development that will end up going to the Pritchett farm. So that part is a done deal, and we have a contract to do some paving that becomes a public drive that that anybody would have access to. The part we don't have is, the Pritchett farm is 88 acres, and it's between Joe Wilson's property and the school property. So we are in negotiations with them to get a right-of-way through there. And if we get that right-of-way, then the town has already determined that it's going to work to get that connection in, so that there is another major access point into the school.
That would take us to that main road?
That would take you to the Boones Creek Road.
Okay.
How are we financially? Have we used any of the contingency money yet?
The answer is yes. It's a little complicated, but I will try to make it fast. In the budget, Burwell had two contingency line items in their budget, and if you all received early on a sort of a breakdown of the project cost. Under Burwell's contract, we took out technology, the kitchen, and a couple other things, because we felt like we took it out of the consideration of the Burwell contract to begin with, mainly from a timing standpoint. We felt like, especially when we were talking to people and people were having some problems with what happened in this kitchen, or what happened with technology and stuff like that. We felt like we needed to do a lot more homework. We needed to have a lot more discussions about technology and what was really needed, and you know, how do we go about trying to use more local vendors that would be more attentive to when problems occur. So we took that out. It's in the project cost, but it wasn't in what was bid out that Burwell bid on. It wasn't in the specifications that went out with Burwell, and that proved to be a really good move, I think, on our part, because we were under construction in the fall. If we had to go through and design all of the technology in the kitchen and all that included in the contract, then it would have cost us another 2 or 3 months of discussion before we could bid it out. So we were under construction in the fall of 21, and that, if it was anything like the fall, the weather we've just gone through, we'd still be waiting for it to dry up. So, we were way ahead of the game by getting started. When we came back and we worked with Curtis and all that, we worked for probably 3 or 4 months with the staff to talk about technology and what you really needed and that kind of thing. So when we got the pricing on that, we decided it was just easier to take it out of Burwell's money that set aside, and so we changed ordered into his contract, which means that the money that we had over on the outside of his contract is now contingency money. So we have, that we had $517,000 in there for technology that was out of Burwell's contract, that was below the line. That money is now contingency. So we have used contingency. There's always things that come up with things that didn't exactly, pan out the way that it is designed, and you have to make a change, or you run into this problem or that problem. But for the most part, it hasn't been that great. We did do a change order where we changed the flooring to a better flooring, and also that included those accent panels in the flooring. And that was probably the main thing that we've changed. There's really hasn't been that much in terms of change. One of the good things about Burwell is that they have, when we bid this out and things were so bad in the building trades, they padded their budget a little bit for this or that, because they had to protect themselves, because if it took us 2 months to decide to go ahead and issue the contract with them, then the prices might be different, So rather than having to bid it out again, they sort of protected themselves. Well, Burwell's a great contractor, so they have picked up expenses. They say, well, we've got some extra money, we can take care of that, and they've said that numerous times. So, and there's still probably some extra money in there. We had $511,000 in Burwell's contract for bad soil, rock removal, and stuff like that. We've spent maybe, I think it's up to maybe $30,000 out of that we've spent. We hit no rock, knock on wood, and and the building is out of the ground. We've done almost all of the major grading, so that money, got moved over, and the kitchen cost was under the line. That turned out to be, that cost with everything that was added to the plan, it ended up being $70,000 over what we had budgeted for. But that came out of the contingency. That was essentially the town's contingency. Does that help any? So everything else, there has been no change order in Burwell's contract that has taken it over the $35 million, which is the original contract.
So technology has been built in the original contract price?
It is all under everything that Curtis has given us, and it includes all the camera work, the system that's going to be used to bar read people when they come into that peninsula, so it sends a signal in. It's the unit that you all determined was in Greenville, we thought was a great idea. That's included. So everything is included in Burwell's contract, and it's still in the $35 million. So it's all been taken care of one way or another within the project cost. So,
Anybody else have any questions for me?
Going back to the playgrounds.
Sure.
With the exception of the CDC, the other playgrounds are going to be open to the community?
The only way that we can get funding for it is that we enter into a shared use agreement with you all. The town enters into a shared use agreement, and that has been prepared, it's being reviewed, and we'll send it to Mr. Boyd and Dr. Adams for review before we send it to you to get their input to it. But essentially, all it is just saying that outside of school hours, and part of the original agreement in the interlocal agreement that we had with you all was that the town, one of the reasons the town is taking responsibility for the upkeep of all the grounds outside of the school building itself is because we're running a community recreation program after school hours. So it's blending the needs of the town and the community for community recreation into the needs of the school for facilities that are school related.
Okay, let me follow that up with, since it's exposed to the community, whose responsibility is to check it each morning to make sure there is not inappropriate material that has been left on the playground overnight from browsing people that may be doing illegal things? How is the playground monitored before those kids come back out?
It's the town's responsibility to take care of it. Let's put it this way: if the school is using baseball field or softball field, or using that multi-purpose field area, we have trash cans out there. The town will be picking up dumpsters. We will have a crew that we're expecting that if the school system personnel are running a program in there, that if there's litter to be picked up, that they'll be looking at what's going on after their game, and picking up anything and putting it into the dumpster or a trash can. We will be emptying the trash cans and putting things in the dumpster. So we will have staff checking it, every morning, whether or not it's before school or not. It's going to be the expectation that whoever's using the facilities at night is being responsible to go out there and look to see themselves, what is out there.
The playgrounds wouldn't be used by the people, it's people wandering in and out. So that's why if the teacher goes out there and finds some things that they don't want, I'm sure they can call to have them removed. Want to make sure that problem doesn't happen before. It makes sense to.
I think we're both the school system and the town needs to use common sense. We will have people out there. If you have a staff person, a custodian or something that comes in, if they can, walk out there and see if they see anything before the kids get there, that's great. We just have to work together in order to make sure that we're paying attention to it. I can tell you that it's our intention to to provide a quality service and taking care of those facilities.
I bring it up because I've experienced it. It's
Okay.
a couple schools that I've worked with where it was open to the community, and it was quite a surprise that Monday morning after a rousing weekend.
Okay.
Are not all our schools open to the community now? Our playgrounds are open?
Pretty much.
They are accessed by the community on the weekends.
I mean, I would hope anyone, we're not, even as a parent, if I see something, I'm gonna,
Yeah, if there is something.
if a teacher or staff member sees it or custodian.
But Ridgeview is used probably more than any of them because of summer tournaments.
Yes.
There's never been no problem there to my knowledge over the last 12 years.
It's not to say that something won't be there. I think
Right.
just working together, I think if we both work together and consider it a priority to be checking for that, I think that
Sure.
you can't stop everything, but I think that we can do a pretty good job of paying attention to that.
Mr. Irvin?
Bob, what about the rest of the contingency money? What is the town's plan with it?
We don't have a plan at this point for how it might be used.
Well,
It's very possible, let me put it this way. We had $827,000 in the budget for athletic fields, and that was with the idea that we knew that we couldn't fund everything with what that original, with the amount of money that the school was going to cost. So it's been our intention from the very beginning to go after funding for the athletic facilities. What's happened since then is that instead of there being a $500,000 limit and maximum amount of grant that's issued, this is the first year that the state has no cap on it. So we have a significant grant request in there, and we've talked to them numerous times. It's very possible because we're trying to fund so many things in this athletic area that we may need to use some of that contingency money to match. The way it is right now, I think we have maybe $135,000 of the funds that we would need to use to totally match the amount of money that we're requesting from the state. And that's, to be honest with you, that's $2.4 million of grant money that we're requesting. So we're very close to matching it anyway, because we can use the value of the land, not the cost of the land, unfortunately, but the value of the land as match, and we have separated 30 acres out to be involved in the athletic, not the school building or the parking lots associated with that. So so there's a little bit of that. It's still early. We're probably more than halfway through at this point in time. But at the same time, we're just holding. We don't want to spend all the contingency money.
Well, the reason I ask is we bought furniture. We've got furniture and stuff that's coming for the classrooms, and the teachers has requested that we get some other furnishings to go in the classroom, and we've not ordered it, and I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but if there's some contingency money left, I would make a motion that we try to get the town of Jonesboro to purchase the other furnishings that we're wanting to put in the school.
When do we know how much contingency money will be left?
Well, I mean, that's
It's gonna be later on. It sounds like there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, I mean,
So we may not be
we really need to
start in.
get closer. I mean, we're sitting in March, and the kids are supposed to come in, after Christmas, so that, we have a good bit of time in between. We'll know. There's going to be things that are that are not in the grant application, because if it's not permanently attached, then then it can't be part of the grant request, or that it's something that won't last 25 years, that would be considered a long-term investment. Then the short-term stuff that really is important as well can't be funded. So but we'll try. We're not opposed to looking at anything. We're working with you, and what we want is for what happens in the school to be top notch for for everybody. So the answer to the question is, Keith, we're not opposed to it. I just think it's early at this point.
Well, I mean, I would rather spend my money in the classroom than before I would spend it. Ball fields and everything, that's important. It's very important. But the classroom's important too. And I feel like we need to take care of the classroom.
The only thing that we know of at this point in time that we would be taking out of contingency, if that project, if it got funded the way that we have submitted it, is like $135,000. And we have that within the town's contingency.
How much is sitting in the contingency?
The town has $550,000 that was in the contingency that was below the line, below the contractor's line, and then we've added because we moved all the technology over to Burwell's contract and out of the contingency that was in his contract, so we've added $517,000 to that.
To the 550?
To the 540.
up to 540.
But you're saying technology is on track and the kitchen is on track?
Kitchen is totally funded and the technology is totally funded.
Bob, we appreciate you coming up.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Chad. And we are scheduled to view the
Yeah.
30th, so,
Look forward to it.
yeah, look forward to
Gonna
it.
have the AC on?
Don't matter.
We'll be working.
Looking really good.
In March, hopefully you won't need it that much.
We hope not.
It
Yes, sir.
might be, it's gonna be raining and everything.
Most likely, yes, sir.
Thank you, though.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate
I
it.
appreciate it.
Been asked for a 5-minute recess. Call the meeting back to order. Next on the agenda, if I can get a motion for consideration of meeting agenda, please.
I'll make that.
Have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Let's vote, Jim.
Voting's open. Loading, Mr. Masters.
Yes is my answer, but I haven't got nothing up yet.
All approved.
Thank you. Next is approval of the meeting minutes.
Make a motion, we approve them as written.
Have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Let's vote again, please.
Voting is open.
So, when you're doing a grading project where you're having a third building.
All agreed.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Boyd, announcements.
Yes, just beginning with tomorrow, it's not on the list. I did send out communication based on the wind advisor, the wind warning that's coming, as well as some flooding in the area that happened and overnight, may be likely to happen. I close schools tomorrow. Sent out the public communication at 4:15 p.m. today. So March 7th is also, it was on the board approved calendar. It's a non-student attendance day. It's a district-wide in-service day for teachers and others, but no student attendance next Tuesday, March 7th, based on the approved calendar. And then I mentioned the TSBA Scope Conference in Nashville. It's actually at Belmont University. Our students will be going there that are representing Washington County. And then what's highlighted, important to me, March 20th through 24th is on the calendar as spring break. Hopefully everyone will enjoy some time off in our schools and classrooms on spring break.
It's gonna snow.
And possibility, March is always a crazy thing, as we know, and there could be some snow. We hope not.
It's going to.
But it could. Makes no difference to me. I'll be here. So go outside in front of the district office and play in the snow if it snows.
Have a snowball fight.
Yeah. County Commission meeting, just as on the calendar, is March 27th. And then I will be attending the TAS, Tennessee Association of School Superintendents Legislative and Learning Conference, March 27th through 29th in Nashville. And we have on the 30th, we start at 2:30 with the walkthrough of the Jonesboro, new Jonesboro construction site. And then we come back here for a work session / called meeting. We will be hearing updates from the architects from Lewis Group. It's a called meeting in the event the board needs to take any action based on the reports from the architects. And also it's a workshop in preparation for the April 6th board meeting, which is Thursday, April 6th.
Question.
Yes.
If I can, yeah. In service days here, who puts the planning together for those days? It's each individual school, is it
School,
county
site-
level people?
Site-based. The district offers trainings, but it's based on school needs.
And also just to remind the walkthrough on the 30th, I think Mr. Boyd will be taking a van, so anybody that wants to ride in the van is welcome to.
Thank you. I'll have to start it up and make sure it starts.
Next is your report, please.
Yes, sir, just, Ms. Raven was here, she had to leave, so we will bring her back in April, and we'll maybe have two student board members give their presentations. And then the other is enrollment update, just to highlight, kindergarten registration has been going on. We should have, start having some numbers and projections to next year's enrollment soon. As you know, I do include you when I send the monthly update to the commissioners. I put together at that date what our enrollment looks like, so hopefully you've had a chance to see those enrollment tables as I put them to the commission. As you also see at the request of commissioners, I put the number of out-of-county students at each school at their request. So that is sent out around the 10th, between the 10th through 12th of every month. Field trip reports, as you see, the rest of them are just for your full awareness and public record in the minutes of the meeting. If there's any questions, certainly we'll answer those. If not, that's all for my reports.
Okay. Next is, if I can get a motion for consideration of consent agenda, please.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Let's vote, please, Jennifer.
Betty, second.
All approved.
And just FYI, if, I know on the purchase orders on consent was the light pole for Danny Boone. You said that maybe they may have a chance to get that today.
This morning, Philip indicated they may try. I didn't get a follow-up if they actually
The
did.
polls arrived, they didn't put it up today.
Okay.
Whether had impact on that.
Miss Sweeney and Miss Wilson, will they be here next month or have the invitation to come next month to grant?
We'll certainly bring them forth.
Jared's lights in yet for the ball field? Or just a pole? No, just
It's a good
curious.
question. I don't know if the lights are in yet or not. I can find out really quick.
I'm just curious.
I think that Philip, when he updated me about the poll, I think he said the lights were also. And I may have been wishful thinking.
I think you said last time it was close. So. I guess for my info, the update on Boone's gym floor.
Yeah, I mean, the crew started last Thursday removing all the materials, the floor, subfloor, and in preparation for installation. They made a lot of progress this week. Actually, I think they got all of the material out.
I've seen the picture you sent us, so good deal.
And you know, before they probably started installing the other material, they want to make sure that the concrete surface doesn't have, moisture.
Good deal. Okay, we're down to discussion presentations. Review and awarding of a bid for janitorial services.
Certainly, we've received bids, we've reviewed bids and evaluated in comparison of what the offerings were, looked at, and, price is one. The other is what kind of services were proposed in each of the proposals. Dr. Adams, the staff, Ms. Stollard, Mr. Patrick made a recommendation in analyzing the bids and looking at the scope of work. And the recommendation that the team has brought forth is based on, I'll read it directly so I don't mess anything up. And that's the document that I'm reading from, and I'm at the bottom of the sheet. We'll go back to the matrix comparison, but if you go to the bottom, based on the reference check and entirety of the proposals, the team, the Washington County Schools and the Washington County Department of Education team recommends awarding the bid to HES Facilities Management. If you go back up.
Is HES involved in any other of our local school systems in the surrounding areas? Are you aware?
Not that I'm aware of in this northeast Tennessee area.
Have we used them before?
We have not. I believe, and Dr. Adams jump in their analysis, they looked at hours, schedule, and the other consideration was references. Mr. Flair?
Make a motion that we approve the contract for the custodial service to HES as recommended by staff.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Discussion.
I had a question. Are they all available to allow people in the schools to evaluate them pretty regularly, or is that?
That was part of the contract.
That was part, so
part
they're
of the
aware.
bid. Yes, that we would evaluate them periodically and with the expectation that any concerns we have are addressed immediately. There's also contract language in there that after a 30-day period where we are still not satisfied with their service, we can move, terminate. We're using a lot of the contract language from last time, with a little bit more, I don't want to say how it's going to sound, but a little bit more teeth to it.
So we're not locked into a long contract.
No, I mean, it's a 3-year contract overall, but if they're not satisfactory, we'll take steps to make sure they are, and if they cannot meet our expectations, we will move to terminate the contract.
So all these are based on 3 years? These
Yes, sir.
numbers?
Yeah, that's not
That's
an
what I thought.
annual amount, that's for the 3-year
I was
period.
thinking
Well,
5.
My question is why ain't we taking teeth on Premier? If that's who we've got already and we're not, you know, why we're not getting on them to do their job, they're $500,000 cheaper.
Are they in that contract now, Jared?
Yeah, that's who we have the contract with now that ends May 31st.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm Premier.
Okay.
Do you mind if I speak just for a second, please?
You may.
How are y'all doing?
Good.
We started this contract in 2016, all right? And we know exactly what it takes to do this, the school system. And then in 2019, we got the contract again. Since 2019 until now, as you all know, we got the hurdle of Corona. We update all our employees with the new wage so we can keep them, so we can hire some people. I think from our review with all the principal and everybody, we're doing a good job. And when we put the proposal here for you all, we know exactly what it takes in every school, hours, supplies, everything to do it. So I'm just want to be sure to let you all know, I mean, we try to be fair to you all, even when we put the contract, like in 2019, with a wage of $9. And when we up the wage to $12 and $11, we hit the cost of it. And we lost a little bit of money, just we want to be sure to put some money back in the community and hire these people back to stay with us and meet your all expectation. So, I mean, I'll leave it up to you all, but I mean, I think the price we submit is what's exactly what it takes to do the school, labor-wise and supplies-wise. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a question. When you see that staffing inconsistent, specifications not always met, are you concerned, or you think that you all are stepping up your game to meet those expectations, or what do you think when you see that? I mean, I'm just asking.
To be honest with you, I mean, I'm gonna be honest here. Anybody will come in here and tell you we're gonna go ahead and have that magic magic stick, and we're gonna turn the whole thing around and make y'all feel like $1 million just to win the contract. Y'all know Washington County labor, all right? Y'all know it's very hard to go ahead and hire people in Washington County. We hire some floaters, we hire extra people, we pay them some more money. Actually, in 11 East here, you have the jail have a $17 big banner, and you cannot find anybody to work. So we have the people. Actually, our wage is like 13 and 14. All right, we up 2 managers inside this contract to meet your all expectation to do that. When we bid it last time, it was 1 manager. Now we have 2 managers in it. We update the wage from like 10 or 11 bucks to 13 and 14 and even 15. So, I mean, you can have whatever you want in here, pay the people, I can assure you. We have a floater. We put a floater inside this contract, the current one now, for $16 an hour. And we can find nobody. So that is the nature around here, and that's nature nationwide. It's not only in Washington County. But we have dedicated managers in here. We're doing the best we can to meet your all expectation. So, I mean, I'm honest with you, dear. I mean, everybody working for Premier and everybody in the Washington County School, we know when we have the drop in labor, our headquarters is in Knoxville, Tennessee. Mr. Mark Isom, our president and founder, I mean, he sent some managers in here in our cost. No cost for Washington County to help Linda Hudge, I mean, she's our contractor manager here, to go ahead and finish the school so nobody would come in the morning when the school is not clean. That's the most important thing now, because I know, I mean, long time in the past, I mean, some of the school before our time, I mean, did not get clean or we missed something. But we do a lot of school system. We do Charleston school system, I mean, bigger than this system. And I think we met our customer expectations.
Ms. Buchanan?
What is a day porter?
We do not do day porter, we only do not clean.
Okay.
But we have some people working at night as
On your quotation sheet, you do have a hourly price for day porter in your bid.
we have some people working at night full-time, but day porter or like people working during the day. But we have some people working for us currently now, working 8 hours. So I mean, you can consider this like a day porter, because if we cannot find people part-time, we have to play the game and find somebody working longer hours and pay them some more money so they will be able to clean the school. But normally the expression day porter is like for somebody working during the day, like during the school time.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any more discussion?
Well, do all of them have that float or whatever you mentioned, where if they are given some type of an evaluation or feedback and they don't do that, it's 30 days, or is it just the one? Do all of them have that?
They all have in their bids, what they propose to cover their schools. They vary in the number of people at each site and the hours that those individuals will work. We have in the contract will be written in language that if they propose 5 people at Ridgeview for 5 hours a night and they have 3 people show up for 4 hours a night, we will deduct that from that monthly check that we send them, so that if they bid, we're going to pay them that overall amount. We expect that the number of people for the number of hours will be met. And if they're not, we're not going to pay them for not working.
Ms. Buchanan?
Did we ask for a hourly price for a day porter? Because every one of them has that.
My understanding with talking with Ms. Dowers, that's somebody that's going to come and help supervise and maybe help do some of the auxiliary cleaning if there's not somebody in there. That's not something from our bid, that's something that they're part of their service that they're offering us.
Okay.
Mr. Hurstone?
Because I'm new to this, the surrounding counties, okay, we're talking Sullivan, Carter, do they outsource, or do they keep their people and hire them, does the school systems hire them the night through themselves, do you know?
My understanding is, I believe Sullivan County has their own people. I believe.
I think Johnson City hires their own people, has their own people as well.
I believe so.
And we did in what, 2 schools? Up
Lamar
until
and Gray.
this year, or this coming year? Any more discussion?
And Keith, over the years, we found that it's cheaper to outsource than it is to
Well,
hire.
the way we looked at it years ago was what we figured on insurance and retirements and stuff like that it was cheaper to hire it outside to bring it in than hiring our own people. Now, you know, I'd like to know the figure of what we feel like it would cost us to have our own people, but, you know.
I think the last time we looked, it was like double.
Yeah, well, this is double.
Oh, yes.
So where are we at now since it's doubled?
Brad, you know what what the bid was this past bid for a 3-year contract?
The prior bid, it roughly was about $844,000 a year, but it was a 4-year contract. So, but we're going back 4 years, so the price is double.
Right.
Yeah, it's double.
I didn't think it was 4, Brad. I thought it was 3, because we can't bid over 4. We can't bid 4 years.
Originally it was, but
We extended it for 1 year, but the contract actually was just for 3 years.
Well, I have the contract in my folder. Just 2 seconds to pull that up.
You know, we added additional facilities.
Yeah, there were 2 changes. You know, we closed the Boones Creek, or we combined the Boones Creek School, and then there was a year extension with that. So,
How are we doing Jonesboro? Are we going to start with 2, then take one off, I guess. That was the way the bid stated, I take it?
Bid stated for basically the first 6 months of the next school year, they would be split, and then they would come into one. I think there's a difference of, it's 35,000 square feet less to do the new building than it is to do 2 buildings combined.
Any more discussion? Mr. Flanger?
Well, do we, and I know this is hindsight 2020, these bids are not good except to the end of the month, March 31st, correct? Was that right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we did go back and look and try to piece together whether, keep it in-house or whatever, but I think we're a little late to that.
Well, it's gonna be the same problem that they're having, is trying to hire help. Although our insurance package is better than probably, but, according to what it would cost to do that, so. But I've talked to some principals and stuff, and I'd say we keep Premier instead of going with the other one, but.
Just to answer the contract question, the last one that I had was June 1st, 2019 through May 31st, 2023. So that's where I was getting it. It was a 4-year contract. It was $3,333,968. So that's the last one that I had. But there was a vote that you all did back then to do that. So, but 4-year-old numbers, prices virtually doubled for most.
Well, when we extended it for the year, I can't remember, did they raise the price any, or did it stay? It stayed the same, didn't it?
It was a slight increase. The first 1 year was like 828,000, and then it went to like 844, and then there was an adjustment when the Boones Creek School came on because it was larger.
Yeah.
But it stayed. It wasn't a tremendous amount. Obviously, their premier bid now is higher because prices have went up.
And we're adding 2 more schools.
All right, we have a motion second. Let's, Jennifer, let's vote, please.
Voting's open. Mr. Walters?
I'm getting there, sorry.
That's okay. Four yeses and 4 noes.
So it automatically fails.
Vote goes to 0. Yes, sir. Do we have any more recommendation?
I recommend we take Premier.
I'm here from HES if you want to talk to us. Do you have any questions?
I do think it's fair we
Right.
have one bidder to speak
Come on
to.
up.
Do you have any questions? You asked about the state of Tennessee. We have 16 school systems in the state of Tennessee. None in this northeast corridor. We do Sevier County and Loudoun County in East Tennessee. That's what we do cover. So,
What is your plan of action when you come in? What is your?
there's a full plan in there. We're going to hire 2 managers, which we've already got those people in place to run the whole county, so we'll have 2 points of contact. Our regional operations director, Scott Zimmerman, actually lives 10 minutes from here, so he will be the overseer of the account. There will also be a guy named Nick Christ who will be a regional manager here too, but Scott's one of our VPs and he lives in Johnson City.
Where are you out of?
We're out of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Knoxville.
Yes, that's our headquarters.
What was this one, ABM?
It's
HES.
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 Yes, sir.
That's what the motion was asked.
Right.
Mr. Planner?
Can I see the voting record for this last one? Yes, right here.
1 second.
Yes, yes. Did I vote no?
It showed no.
It should be yes. How do we, I don't know how I did that, but that's.
Who should have votes no? I think for somebody
I
that
guess
votes no,
I
they
would
can then.
rescind your vote. Or your vote again.
I mean, I made the motion.
So,
In this case, I mean, my understanding would be,
Vote again.
Mr. Fleener did make the original motion, and you would be the one that would allow a revote.
Can I ask for a revote then? Is the original motion?
You can. I believe that that's the case, yes.
Okay.
You still, I mean, you have to just go through the
Yes, ma'am.
process.
Right.
You can allow a revote.
Can I ask for a revote?
Yes.
Because I don't.
We do.
Yeah, somebody has to say.
We have a tracking device that will actually give you.
We do have another
These are our
motion for a
reports,
revote. Do I have a second on
and
that?
we do monthly or quarterly.
You also have a
business
motion on that I made.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
I still do have a motion on.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know you
I
had
don't
made a
have a
motion.
second.
There'll be a supervisor at each school, and you'll go to
Nobody
them,
second.
and then they'll report back. And then there'll be 2 managers in the system.
I'm sorry.
She pulled me aside, I apologize.
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
She was asking about our evaluation. We're gonna do business reviews, it's in our contract, we'll do so many a year. We also have a tracking device that you all will have, and there'll be a supervisor at each school. There'll be the direct report for that building.
Okay.
It's built in.
Mr. Irvin had a motion that I missed. I apologize. Do we have a second to his motion?
Who had a motion?
Keith had a motion to keep Premier.
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay? We have a second. Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
your time. We have a second discussion.
Do we have to make them decide tonight, or is it?
Yeah, let's
Because
get it
of,
done.
it's because of the time frame, I think. These bids are only good through the 31st this month, Mary Beth. That's
Okay.
one reason why.
I will call out, just as an option, the 30th, you also have called a meeting. If you so
Okay.
choose, you could vote on the 30th if you so chose to do
Well, if
so.
that's within the time frame, I agree with Mary Beth.
The date is the 31st. And we are, the reason the time is, we will have a transition if there is a change in the service provider. And, that'll be in May. So making a decision as early as possible is important, but based on the bid date, you have until the 31st of March.
And that also is a called meeting, so we can't take action.
So you can move to defer
So,
to that day.
all right, we have a motion to second. Any more discussion? Chad, did you have something?
I just said a point of order, but I guess I hit no, but that's not what's my intention, especially since I moved to award the bid of the recommendation of what the staff recommended. I know you got a motion on the floor in a second, but that motion would have passed had the intention went through.
You can withdraw those motions.
I think you can withdraw your motion. My comment about you were the one that made the original motion. I think you're the one that can bring something that's been tabled or not approved back.
And it'll supersede the motion that's on the floor.
For another motion, for another vote.
I'd ask for a revote then on the original motions to begin with.
Okay.
And that will supersede his motion.
Well, it basically nullifies that vote. and it's a
It starts
revote.
over.
Okay. But we need a second on his, right?
Yeah, you need a second, just like any motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. Jennifer, let's revote, please.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Can I back up a little bit?
Yes, yes.
I'm just as point out, we had a motion and a second for discussion. You all didn't vote on that motion by Mr. Irvin.
Okay.
You have to vote on that.
Before we can,
this.
before his.
He had a motion on the floor before you brought that to the.
Okay,
Let's roll.
okay, my bad. Everybody understand what we're voting on now?
On Keith's.
We're voting on Keith's motion to keep Premier
Right.
as a vendor.
Seconded by Greg.
And a second by Mr. Huddleston. Any more discussion? Let's vote, Jennifer, please.
Voting's open. Fails.
All right, motion failed. Now, Mr. Pointer.
I'd like a revote on the motion number 1 to award the bid to HES Facilities Management as recommended by staff.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Let's vote again, please, Jennifer.
carries with 3 noes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the discussion availability of property adjacent to Gray Elementary School, approximately 2.7 acres. I know we brought this up in the workshop. I have spoken with one of the owners, and it is going to be available, just don't know when. And I think I directed him to discuss that time frame with Mr. Boyd, so he can let us know from there. Have no cost whatsoever yet, but it's just something that we want to bring back for you. I think there's some stuff in BOE that shows some boundaries, some aerials and so forth of what will become available. So,
Put that up.
can you bring it? Can you put that up, please?
And see. I'm sorry, I cannot try to enlarge it.
Right there it is. And what is available is that in the blue. There's approximately 2.7 acres. And I think there might be an aerial that may show it. Mr. Sanders and his wife both passed. And I think there's a son and daughter that will be selling it, is what I was told. Is there another slide in there if we got an aerial of it?
So it goes all the way to the fairgrounds?
Yes, Fairground owns the property towards the back. And again, our thought was if we could work something out, if we ever was to utilize that, we could work something out with Fairgrounds as far as parking would be.
The family that passed, were they the ones living in the house?
Yes.
You know, they were.
So, if you'll, this is the property, let me make sure I got it.
Mr. Boyd, if you change your mind, you could make that your new residence.
I'm gonna be on the other end of the county, on the south side. Well, it doesn't work. But anyway, you see that area that's the blue, that is actually the property of Gray Elementary School. That long section is the 2.7 acres. And then that to the left, the top portion to the left, that big open area, that's owned by the Fair Board.
Yes. And that's utilized for parking only. That's just a big open field.
What is this what is down here? Is this,
That's the other house.
That's another piece of property.
okay.
Yeah,
And the property doesn't, there's nothing on it? It's just
There's a house on it.
There is a house on it,
Okay.
that's livable. I mean, it's a functional house. If it was, if it was utilized for the school, of course, we would not remove the house.
But just FYI, that, I'm sure that's gonna be, but there's an aerial of
There you go.
it.
Bring it
There's a
down.
pool next door.
It's the brown roof, that's the house that's available.
Mhm.
And to the right of it, of course, is Gray Elementary. That's, as you can see how close it is. It adjoins it, of course. But just a thought to keep in mind when that does become available. I think we will be offered to purchase if the board so desires.
Should we have discussions prior to, Mr. Masters, about planning? I know we're going to meet with Johnson City at some point in time, but, we, probably before we purchase it, you can't, it's close, we're landlocked right there anyway, but it'd be nice if we kind of just get together and talk about our plans, what we would do with that if we gained it, you know what I'm saying? For the population boom that's coming to Gray and foreseen or whatever.
And of course, that is our topic when we meet with Johnson City on expansion and growth.
Yes, sir.
But as a board here, I'm sure we can, that's something we can schedule too, to talk amongst ourselves what our future plans are for growth in, especially in the north side. And again, I don't know if this property will be available next month or 6 months from now. We have not been, really haven't been told that yet, so. But yes, I think Jerry and I maybe can get together and schedule something at one of our workshops to discuss that in depth. All right, next on the agenda is our purchase order. Mr. Boyd, I'll let you.
Yes, sir, these are purchase orders that have come about since the workshop, so it's under discussion. This is using grant funds for the subscription, as you can see, of what's called the CALM app they use for social emotional learning. Many people probably have that app on their phone, breathing and other types of exercises to regulate your stress levels.
Who's that?
And it is grant funds. It is through grant funds, through the ELC grant.
Mr. White,
Coordinated School Health, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'll make a motion, we spend the $69,212 for the COM digital 36-month program.
A second. We have a motion, a second, discussion. Let's vote, Jennifer, please.
All approved.
Thank you. Next is our policy review on grading system and separation practices for tenured teachers. Ms. Buchanan.
I would like to make a motion that we pass this, waive first reading, and the policy for 4.7 grading system on second and final reading.
Second.
Yeah, you can approve them for final reading.
All right, then I would also like to add to that policy 5.200. I move to waive that one also on first reading and go to second read and final reading.
Second.
Can we vote them together? Okay.
You can, if you make a motion, you can do that.
Now, her motion included both of them, and the second, I take it?
Second and final reading.
You second the motion, Mr.?
Yeah, Mayor, Mr. Hamlin, one, yes, sir.
We have motion second. Do we have any more discussion? Let's vote, Jennifer, please.
Voting's open. All approved.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Boyd, student disciplinary decision.
Yes, sir. So we have a process through the disciplinary hearing authority when students are, if they're suspended for a long term, that means over 10 days, they go to a disciplinary hearing authority, and once that's heard, the disciplinary hearing authority makes a decision. If the parent does not like the decision of that hearing authority, it comes to me. If they don't like the decision I make, based on the appeal that they made to me, then it comes to the board. So this is an appeal to the Board of Education. The student and parent they're dissatisfied with the decision of the director of schools and has requested that the board review the decision. As part of any such review, I have provided you, in cooperation with others, the disciplinary hearing authority, school administration, to prepare the record and summary and have provided that to the board in sealed documents to each of you for review. The board at this meeting, which is the next regular meeting once the appeal was received, the request by the parent, the board shall vote whether to sustain the decision on the record, to reverse or modify the decision on the record, or to grant a new hearing. If the board votes to grant a new hearing, any such hearing shall be closed to the public unless the student or parent within 5 days requests that the hearing be open. Any such hearing shall operate as it would any disciplinary hearing authority, except that in the event of an open hearing, the board shall not retire to deliberate. At the conclusion, the board may affirm the decision of the director of schools or modify the decision of the director of schools to include the imposition of more severe consequences.
Hearing that, we have a motion on the recommendation. Mr. Planner.
I'll make a motion that we sustain, given the documents provided to us, that we sustain the punishment handed down.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Discussion?
I'd like to move to amend the motion. And my amendment is as follows: that the student is to continue their suspension and remain at the alternative school for the remainder of the third quarter, ending on March 17th. Following the suspension, a behavioral contract is required by Tennessee Code 49-6-3401 be implemented, indicating the school's behavioral expectations and the consequence if another violation of the discipline matrix occurs. Finally, the student will receive guidance services as needed for the purpose of assisting the student with the compliance of the contract. If I can get a second, I would like to speak just to why I would make this motion.
We have a motion, we have a second to the, we have a motion to amend the motion. We have a second.
Got a point of order. There's only 3 decisions you can make, correct? Sustain the charges, grant a new hearing, or drop the charges.
Modify.
Modify the decision on record. Yes, sir. That is an option.
Hearing none, let's go ahead and vote on the motion by Mr. Pointer, please.
Can there be any discussion on the motion?
No, without a second.
No discussion on the first motion.
I asked and didn't have one, then you wanted to make an amendment to the motion.
Okay, then I'd like to speak to the first motion.
Okay?
Okay. First, I've not spoken to anybody connected with this at all. Parents, family members, or anybody. I haven't spoken to board members. For many years as a teacher, I've realized how important it is to maintain discipline in the classroom, in the school. I've had instances of chairs being thrown at me, I've been hit in the face, ducked from a flying glue stick, and my glass is broken. My motion in no way makes light of what the student has done. I've reviewed all the incidents, especially the last 2, and I understand why administration would want to make it as severe as it is. But in reading this report, I also noticed and felt something else, a student who needs help. And I feel sending this student to an alternative school for the rest of the year is not going to give him the help that he needs. I've studied the discipline matrix from our school system, and it refers many times into the behavior plan about what should be done for offenses. And it mentions about developing behavioral plans to try to see that this the student can succeed. From my information, that was never done. Next, information that I've received, there has never been a referral to a guidance counselor to assist this student. I've been a guidance counselor for 9 years, and I understand the fabulous job that counselors do in our school system. And I believe by not having him had that service has been an injustice to him. I feel the discipline's too severe. The student was suspended in school numerous times for 1 day. The time before this last incident on January 31st, the suspension was for 3 days out of school. And while I feel that that last incident was indeed serious, I don't feel it's right to go from 3 days out of school suspension to over 3.5 months in an alternative school when there has been no behavior contract and no counseling given to the student. So what I'm proposing is, again, the suspension to the end of the quarter, which is 31 days out of his school. And during these next 2 weeks, before he returns, a behavioral plan, as required by Tennessee Code 49-63401, for any student suspended longer than 10 days, be put in place. And I also feel it's important that the child receive counseling. Believe me, I understand the frustration that teachers and administration have to undergo, and I applaud them daily for everything that they do. It's not an easy job, and I appreciate what they do. If I'm making an error in my judgment, let it be on the side of the student. I think my recommendation that I made, which did not garner a second, is fair. and I think it's beneficial to the student. I don't think what this is beneficial to that student.
Okay, any more? Ms. Walters?
I just want to comment that a contract is not, is it just a piece of paper? Contract, a piece of paper he signs and agrees?
I would say it would be administration, be the parents.
Is that a
it would be
piece
the
of paper
student.
that everybody signs?
I would assume it is.
Okay. So, and counseling, he's probably been counseled from administration, teachers, other folks that are professionals. I believe that it's time to make an impact on this kid's life and to tell him that he's not going to come in and act like he's been acting and do the things that he's been doing. Yes, there are root problems here, but I don't think that it's something that the school can tackle. I think it's something that a private therapist may need to go into and get to the root problem of the behavioral issues. But I believe that he needs a lesson learned. And the alternative school, from my understanding, if I'm wrong, please someone correct me, they are more well-equipped to deal with things like this. He will still be getting his education at that school. So we're not taking him out of school. We're just putting him somewhere where they're more equipped, they're used to this because that's what they do. And then through that and through the school system, through juvenile services, through whoever it takes, this child can get the help that he needs through a private therapist or whoever needs to get involved. There's opportunities out here for free things if that is the need. But I do believe that, once again, we're telling our kids that it's okay to act exactly the way they want to, and there's nothing going to happen to them. So that's all I got.
Ms. Dillinger?
Could I have Dr. Myers come up and address a few of those? Would she be willing to do that or not? She does want to be. About any type of behavior contracts or? I think I'll put you on the spot.
Put you on the spot, Mandy.
Could you address some of the things that Mr. Huddleston? I'm
Sure.
just curious.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm probably limited on what I can say about this specific.
I know, right.
But, yeah, as far as a behavior contract or any type of contract on down in the matrix, it does state that the principal has the discretion. And I will say that these decisions are not made lightly at the school. There's a lot of decisions, there's a lot of talking going on, and there's a lot of supports that are put into place for students before these types of decisions are made.
Is there any chance that at the alternative school that this particular student could get some type of, I don't know if you call it counseling, I'm not exactly sure about.
There is a full-time school counselor.
There is
at
a
that
counselor
facility.
that could be.
And social worker
Giving
access.
guidance and giving.
Yes.
And then,
Yes, he would have, any student at the alternative school has access to the guidance counselor. We also have the social worker. And then we currently have a vacant Frontier Health position. But if there are situations that require us shuffling people, we can do so. But there is plenty of support at the alternative school for all of our students.
Now, before he would go back into Crockett next year, there would have to be a contract. since
We do
it's longer than
transition
10
plans
days.
for students when
Right.
they re-enter, and in that transition plan, we develop a support plan and things that we are going to do to help the student, yes.
Ms. Buchanan?
I call for the question on the original motion, please.
Let's vote, Jennifer, please. Thank you, Dr. Myers.
Voting's open. Yes, Ms. Buchanan, but yes.
It's not happening.
It carries with one no.
Thank you. And last on our agenda is the purchase of dietary uniforms. Mr. Boyd, I'll let you explain that, please.
Yes, sir. You know, we purchase uniforms for our school nutrition staff. Ms. Shue had budgeted for a certain amount, but she needs to purchase more. This is available in her line item, but the amount exceeds $10,000, so it's a request to purchase uniforms not to exceed $13,000.
So we provide
The uniforms.
It's like scrub type uniforms for the service.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion, Mr. Urban.
We have a uniform company already with the maintenance to people. Do they not offer the uniforms that they could wear and be just added to theirs with them?
I don't know that answer to that question. This is based on the recommendation of Ms. Shue. I don't know that it would be a difference
You know
in
anything
cost.
about that?
When she brought it to my attention that that's what she was wanting to do, I think she's found a company that has some really nice uniforms, and she wants to be able to buy those for her people so that they can take care of them. And I think she thinks she's getting a good value for what she's wanting to do. My understanding is each employee will get 5 uniforms that they'll be able to be responsible for. And again, as Mr. Boyd said, she needed $9,800 worth, but she's in the process of hiring, I think, 5 to 6 more people, and that's where the additional money came in.
This is coming out of her fund balance, correct?
No, actually, our budgeted line item,
Okay.
it just exceeds 10,000 and requires board approval for anything over 10,000.
So
Okay.
these uniforms is going to be purchased, they're not going to be leased.
Yes, sir.
They're not lease outfits.
Right.
No, sir.
That's what I was getting at.
Because maintenance is leased, I take it.
Yes.
So they turn them in each week.
Yeah, and that's why I say, could we not do that for the cafeterias people? I mean, offer a lease contract for them.
I don't know that Ms. Shue has recommended that. She doesn't desire that option.
Any more discussion? Let's vote, please.
Second.
Carries with 1 no.
Thank you. Only other thing I have is just a reminder, our next board meeting is March 30th, 2:30. We will be visiting Jonesboro, then we resume here at 5 for a called meeting and our workshop. Other than that, I'm sorry.
Well, I want to ask, can we get some dates on top 10 and?
We had to have your calendar. Did you get a calendar?
We'll get that to you.
There is a calendar we can give you. It's got all those dates in it.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Does it come on my phone? Did it come on my
Oh,
phone?
it's hard copy.
It's a physical copy, that's gotta
We'll
go.
get you another one.
It's green.
When
It's
did we
green.
get it?
It's green. We got it at a meeting.
2 meetings ago, I guess, back in January, I
It's
think.
green.
I don't remember.
February,
Might have been, but we'll get you a copy, yes.
February, April.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Mr. Boyd, do you want this returned?
Yeah, if you return those, we will put them in the shredder.